In the cutthroat world of video games, bad business can be just as deadly as bad design. What if I told you that the same person canceled Fallout 3 and Baldur's Gate 3 in the same year? You'd probably think I got my companies and years mixed up, but if true, it had to be one of the biggest blunders in video game business history. So was the chaos and uncertainty of Interplay's later days. In their prime, they were at the helm of Legend.
He proves very exact, but there's some drops here and there, like bad business and bad design being mixed into this that I can take a certain amount of umbrage with. But how much? It's hard to say in general. Gonna just wait this one out and see how it goes. But let me just highlight right at this moment now. The stream isn't about trying to defend Bethesda or any of their actions. I will concede many of his points about the law, the stickiness of all the bullshit that went down in his factual life overall. What I am more curious about is the fact that, no duh, Fallout 3, Fallout was bought. No duh, with that particular thought there, but not saved. I don't think he really established it. Establishes that well. The only way he really establishes it is by sort of pointing out some of the bad practices of Bethesda. But he doesn't go into the real hypotheticals. This is a cut down version of it, so you might want to watch the whole video in reality. Not sure how you want to play it, but I'm going over this segment and even have a few of the comments out there in the ether.
Legendary franchises like Fallout, Dungeons and Dragons, and Star Trek, even filming the original cast while they were still with us. Interplay was such a key video game figure in the 90s.
And I do like the fact that he banks on the sort of nostalgia factor. You know, when the original cast was all with us. Probably my primary problem with this sort of style that Indigo Gaming goes with. It's very emotional. It's very in a sort of a old school rhetoric thing. It's more about pathos. His argument is built on pathos and not on logos. So emotional arguments over logical ones. He sort of splices them in between. Mostly, like with a lot of these people, it seems to be emotional. I tried to cut out as much as I could from this in particular. Yeah, barely, yes.
They published the first titles by future heavyweights like BioWare, Blizzard Entertainment, and Treyarch. Decades on, the original creators left the company, and Interplay's an empty shell of the industry giant they once were.
Small correction at about 4.9.
Okay, this is the only one you're going to get with me putting any edited in. I'm like, fuck it. I want to get this out. Only included 3 comments within this. Of course, one's a joke for me to meme off of.
00, you said we aided up. You should have made clear that this statement does not refer to the classic Fallout fans who majority really did not like how the game was Bethesda-ized, and we despised it ever since. Yeah, people who don't, or at least not back then, did not play RPGs loved it, and that says it all.
A lot of OG Fallout fans did buy
So obviously this is one of these people who really played during that particular time who didn't like it, or at least they're LARPing as one. Don't know which is which in this particular thing. And I didn't really, the sort of things out there that gets the sort of mainline exposure is what I sort of want to look into with this.
Fallout 3, but that was the tipping point for many, myself included. We were so excited to see the 10-year return of the mainline series that we didn't notice at first how wrong it all was. But I get your point. Forums like
I like how he put, we didn't notice at first of how wrong it all was. And I don't really know what, but I get your point. Forums like No Mutants Allowed definitely became the anti-Fallout 3 after its Windows release. So obviously, Indigo Gaming is hinting that they didn't notice how it was all wrong in the beginning. Fair enough, fair enough. You want to retract and see the problems, cracks form with this new game. All fine and dandy.
MA definitely became anti-Fallout 3 inches after the release window.
In the late 90s, a foreign publisher acquired them and terminated nearly a dozen games. Then they auctioned Interplay's intellectual property to the highest bidder, of which they had no part in creating. How could one of the top game publishers
See the sort of little language blips that no part in creating. That seems to be the mainline sort of issue with this entire video by Indigo Gaming.
in the world fall apart in just a couple years? And is there truth to the claim that Fallout was a B-tier forgotten game that was dredged from obscurity and saved by Bethesda? This video aims to provide context and to correct the revisionism that plagues modern discourse about the Fallout franchise.
Okay, this is extremely weird, okay? He hinges off of the TV show, the marketing campaign with Bethesda, the revisionism. Yet he does not put forward any attempts to say that, no, this could have actually been very successful on its own to the same level of Bethesda, which I'm pressing X'd out on it in general.
While these arguments are based on interviews, press releases, court cases, design documents, and the games themselves, it's coming from a place that finds the erasure of the great works from developers in Interplay's prime.
Erasure of the great works of Interplay from its prime. Very emotional, loaded language here. I mean, I have no problems with the facts, but damn, I have, I just hate emotional arguments. And there is some legitimate concern with this in all fucking industries. Who should get the rights to it? Should it be Tim Kaine, who sort of had issues when Fallout 2 was changing, and he was like, I want to opt out back then, okay? Which maybe I should wait for. Maybe I should wait for that particular moment to bring up that particular thing.
More than a little insulting. Massive fan bases who still enjoy their creations today, whether or not they know who made them. So let's dig into the reasons bad business killed the Fallout franchise, not the game's design, and why Fallout wasn't so much saved, it was sold out.
You're making it, see, Indigo Gaming's sort of putting this sort of spin on it that, yeah, it was just sold out. Okay. Bethesda, they had nothing to do with the success. Look at all the bad things Bethesda did in the court proceedings. Look at the industry going how it is. Again, shouldn't preempt it. I just find this sort of line of logic quite interesting. Is my mic really that fucked up? Okay, I'll play it.
These were all featured in Fallout games in 1997 and 98, 10 years before Bethesda even released their first game in the series. Sales figures aren't nearly as public as they are today, with digital storefronts and online reporting. However, according to insiders, the original Fallout games sold very well. In 2017, former Interplay CEO Brian Fargo stated Fallout sold 600,000 copies. And around that time, ex-Black Isle Studios head Fergus Urquhart claimed that Interplay had to pay additional music royalties because Fallout shipped over 800,000 copies. Considering its relatively small budget of just $3 million, regional pricing and sales aside, this was an incredible return.
Okay, am I sounding better now? Okay. Lucifer. How is it going? Am I sounding better now? I mean, a lot of this stuff's going to be very nitpicky with this particular issue. So let's see how that particular thing goes. Okay, yeah, sometimes you got to plug it in, plug it out. just what you got to deal with this. So in this particular thing, and yeah, hola. So obviously not saying hi to people who are darn Lucifer. Okay. So basically, this is quietly emotional language. It's worth watching on your own. I'm pretty sure I link it on the stream. And yeah, it will get you to think, yeah, the people who had interplay got in bad hands. Fucking Bethesda, when they sort of went over this fight on the IP, yeah, they did some shady shit. Okay. But this is from a biased perspective. I could have some fucking little cope about this with the Bethesda decision, but I cut it all out so I don't have to deal with it because I'm just like that. Okay. It's more about tying this in particular.
On investment of about 10 to 1. It cost tens of millions to make. Fallout 3 sold about 12 million copies, blowing away the numbers of the Interplay games, but easily cost over 10 times as much to make. When Interplay became an official licensor of the Dungeons & Dragons franchise, Brian Fargo nearly canceled the project, because at the time, official D&D titles were considered a safer bet. They practically printed money. But Kane's team weren't interested in fantasy or D&D, successfully arguing that a post-apocalyptic RPG wouldn't cannibalize Interplay's D&D lineup. This was a preview to the craziness and hoops the team had to jump through just to get the first game out the door. But this tabletop influence resulted in a randomization-heavy game, with less than stellar controls, par for the course at the time.
The iconic mouse drive interface makes navigation and combat a breeze, though it's worth taking a peek at the manual too. Conversations come to life through eerily realistic facial animations, and the main graphics shine with detail, while expressive dialogue and other crisp audio elements complete the post-apocalyptic scene. Interplay set out to create a real role-playing game for the PC, and it's more than succeeded. Even mild fans of RPGs will find Fallout easy to fall into.
GURPS.
Okay, sounds like great praise for Interplay's Fallout in general. I would like the backside of a lot of these sort of things he brings up when he brings up the awards. He doesn't do the countermand inside. I mean, he doesn't need to do it with this particular video, which I find a very interesting. I don't know what I'm doing here. I am
Creator
going
Steve
over
Jackson
this
took issue with
particular
many
part.
creative choices in Fallout.
I tried to cut out as much legalese stuff in here because that's not really what I'm concerned, but he has this whole argument tied to the legal argument. And there's certain points that I do want to sort of highlight with this particular video that I think he could have done much better. Hell, fucking hour he took. Maybe it was needed, but maybe not in other regards.
Notably, the Vault Boy illustrations and the violent execution in the game's intro.
Enough.
After a heated meeting with Steve Jackson in person, Interplay cut ties with GURPS. But thanks to some clever modular programming and designer Chris Taylor's homebrew RPG system, the team replaced GURPS with what is now called the Special System in mere days, saving the project once again. In April 1997, the team were tasked with releasing a modified version of Junktown as a demo, which got downloaded tens of thousands of times. Another early sign that they might have a hit on.
Yeah, I would have liked to know tens of thousands of times. It is quite interesting how he sort of puts it out there. I would have liked to know exact numbers. He seems to find exact numbers for some things, but not for a lot of Interplay stuff.
On their hands was that the QA team, unusually, would come in on weekends to playtest Fallout, unpaid.
Don't mistake these glitches for big problems, however. Fallout is easily the best role-playing game released in the past year.
Yeah, I kept everything in. Remember, an intern would come in to play Fallout unpaid. He's using that as a sort of point that it was popular or good, which I think just find he sort of countermands in other regards later on. Yeah, I'm being a negative Nancy on this video, but why not?
And maybe longer. It's a game that clearly was a labor of love for the design team, with humor, style, and brains to spare, and with a wonderfully refreshing emphasis on character development and decision-making. For role players, it's a must-have, but anyone with even passing interest in the genre should check it out as well.
was showered with praise, especially as time went on. Fallout snagged the Best RPG of the Year from GameSpot and Computer Games Online, and was nominated for DICE Awards. At one point, PC Gamer listed it as number 13 out of the best 100 games of all time, right behind Half-Life, even beating out the likes of Baldur's Gate 2 and GTA Vice City. Many inducted Fallout into their respective halls of fame, such as IGN, Computer Gaming World, and GameSpy. Interplay.
Yes, he highlights how in its heyday it was widely praised and loved about 10 years ago. I just find it really a one-sided this is also a video built for the one-sidedness praise of Interplay and not seeing the other side of the aisle of the praise for Bethesda's Fallout, which sort of tampered off after 3. Okay. Is it because of bad decisions? Yeah. Fallout 4. Why it's not my favorite Fallout? It had a lot of good things about it and a lot of bad things about it. Okay. It's a balancing act, but no one wants to go with balancing acts anymore. It's all great or all bad.
Play's tagline was, "By gamers, for gamers." Employees loved their work and reserved conference rooms after hours to play games. Team members would invite.
See again how I sort of brought up that freaking QA departments, people would come in and play without getting paid. And he sort of highlighted that this was a very gamer centric culture. Okay. And yeah, this was a cool club to be in. Look at all those white males. How it should be even today, probably, at least for the development. Autistically charged.
Invite people over to play LAN games of Warcraft, and poker nights were common. It was a fun, creative, and energetic atmosphere in its prime. Fallout 2's production began with a new team, even before the first game had finished. But once Fallout released, Brian Fargo wasn't thrilled with the sequel's design work that had been done thus far. So Tim Kaine and the core Fallout team were ordered to start full-time on Fallout 2. Already tired after a 3-year development, when told they needed to put out a sequel in just 1 year, it ate at the crew's morale. Then after having bonuses cut, and Tim Kaine's creative authority overridden by departmental conflict and cross orders, he had had enough. After finishing a story outline and several scenarios, Tim Kaine, Jason Anderson, and Leonard Boyarsky left Interplay and found.
I mean, it's great that we have all the transparency for all this. Go to his credits. He learned a lot about this because of how open this company was. You can find out a lot. And I definitely wish fucking Bethesda nowadays, a AAA under fucking Microsoft's ass, would be transparent. Okay. So we get a lot of transparency in this video. Tim Kaine has his own little YouTube video, which I think he does sort of bring up a couple of times. It's quite interesting overall.
Troika Games.
There was more people working with less supervision, if that was possible, on Fallout 2, and trying to make a bigger game in a shorter period of time, which of course it sounds like saying it that way, like, well, that's stupid, right? But
Fallout 2 offered a much larger game world, with more of California and Nevada to explore, and more quests to tackle. While many prefer Fallout 2 over the original, due to its greater sense of freedom and scope, by most estimations, it sold about half as many copies. Another attempt at breaking into multiplayer was a late 90s pitch by Fargo, making Fallout.
Okay, yeah, that's how little he just talked about the games. Okay, I cut out most of the legalese stuff that I could from this particular cut to sort of highlight how much he just talks about the games and things outside the legal department. And the heavy-handed rhetoric that I find emotionally captivating.
Fallout into an MMO, but Fergus Urquhart talked Brian Fargo out of that idea, since he identified the immense expense and time needed to build such a game, in the 100 million range.
I should have stayed more focused. That's the only thing I regret the most. It was just too much. I should have just stayed with our core audience.
In desperation to save his floundering company, Brian Fargo put Interplay up for a public offering in 1998 to get the funding they needed to stay afloat. Putting yourself on the stock market while unstable or in debt is never a good idea.
For me, I've always considered Baldur's Gate and BioWare's Infinity Engine as the reason we kept Black Isle running as long as we did. Even today, few teams have the resources to make a Baldur's Gate.
I mean, it's great we have all these interviews from these times, these older developers, the long history with that. And we don't have much from Todd Howard, or whatever you want to call the king of lies, as they like to say. Okay, and I will agree. He's not as bad on hyping things up as things like, what is that's recently been talked about? No Man's Sky. That was the worst thing of a CEO sort of putting out things completely blatantly untrue. And it is getting much worse in the industry nowadays. But we have these older peoples to refer back to. I just find it funny that he doesn't include anyone from the sort of Bethesda team. Not relevant to this video, okay? So perfectly framed to just focus on these particular people, I guess.
It required a lot of developers, a lot of QA, and a lot of support beyond BioWare in terms of audio, VO, and some production. In addition, because the work was being done in Edmonton, BioWare was able to hire a much larger team than any American team for a fraction of the cost. And if they had a problem, they could hire developers to brute force solutions where companies living in higher cost of living sections of the world could not.
Of being a fun
Yeah, that sounds rather terrible. Okay. I've seen people use that sort of practice nowadays, and that seems a little bit lame. Hell, a lot of the fucking QA department from Cyberpunk 2077, there was this one place who completely pretty much lied to freaking CD Projekt Red with how many people they had on and over-reporting insignificant bugs. Why not catching bigger bugs? There's so many reasons fucking that was such a trash fire. CD Projekt Red's is Cyberpunk 2077. Hard to say exactly which it was a flaw, but you get bigger and don't pre-order games. I've learned that lesson.
fun, productive studio that joked around on holidays and made the games they want to see was gone. It became less by gamers for gamers and more do by the holidays for profit. Interplay's trial by fire came to pass when Wall Street and investors dried up, as the infamous tech bubble would burst in the early 2000s.
And again, we have a sort of bubble right now. The video game industry sort of got a lot of excess money. A lot of people were spending their sort of, not welfare check, what what is the check called, for being locked down, stipend check. They spent more time online, not getting out. Of course, video games would be rising, okay? And we're pretty much hitting another one of those right now. This is why a lot of games are definitely going to be failing much harder nowadays. Then we need to go back to AA. But, industry never learns.
Other publishers had that one product that blasted them through to the other side. With Take-Two, it was GTA. With THQ, it was wrestling. With Activision, it was Tony Hawk. You could pin it to one thing. We didn't have that one thing. The only one thing we had was Baldur's Gate. But the problem with Baldur's Gate was it was PC. You couldn't sell 5 million copies.
Titus's biggest acquisition.
Oh, yeah. I had to put this in. I always found this reference in the show hilarious. Titus, that dipshit, cowardly guy who came in, was acting all big, but ended up being a coward and dying. I found this to be a very interesting reference, so I put this over.
Position was debt. In March 2001, Interplay published a tactical spin-off game, Fallout Tactics. Australian developer Microforte made a competent product and included a real-time combat mode to appeal to a wider audience. The game explored the previously uncharted, post-apocalyptic Midwest and Rocky Mountains areas. Tactics was also the first game in the series with multiplayer, and featured a variety of different fighters to control, like ghouls, robots, dogs, super mutants, and even deathclaws. But it didn't appeal as much to the RPG crowd, and lacked the series' trademark exploration, choice, and consequence. It was, however, a quality tactical strategy game, and sold a respectable 300,000 copies, warranting a sequel. Fallout Tactics 2's story would have revolved around a Garden of Eden creation kit corrupted by radiation, terraforming the flora and fauna, creating monstrous plant life that consumed the life of the wasteland. But due to mismanagement, or lack of confidence or direction, the sequel was cancelled later that same year.
There were a lot of surprises.
Okay, here's the sort of intro. This is actually from one of my videos, okay, that I just cut for this. Going into the Tim Kaine section, okay. He's going into the video. He went over Fallout 1, Fallout 2, now onto Tactics, which was probably their only sort of successful game, I would say, afterwards, okay. And there's a lot of problems. You gotta love how Indigo Gaming sort of brought up the fact that, yeah, it's not really role playing, and some people disliked it. Wonder how those numbers will sort of stack up. You make a good game with a good franchise, okay. So we have Fallout 1 and 2. Those are the big successes.
Some of them pleasant. I actually enjoyed playing the game, and I know some of my fans were disappointed when I said I actually enjoyed playing it, but I thought they did a good job of...
This is Tim Kaine talking about Fallout 3, okay. This is about 13 years ago in an interview. Okay, I don't know if he was paid, but it's going to relate to the comment that I want to look into.
Understanding what the universe was like, and then setting a different kind of game in it. It was very much, it felt almost like an FPS RPG. But they understood special. I think they adapted that well to a first-person style RPG and a real-time RPG. I think
an adaptation. This is something no one ever addresses, the sort of adaptation that fucking Bethesda took Fallout on, and how well they adapted it towards their style. No one's gonna, well, some insane people are gonna argue that, Bethesda didn't try to do this, didn't do what they were good at initially. Yeah, I wouldn't call it Oblivion with guns. They sort of used the special system to sort of reflect the roots of the sort of tactical RPG elements. And a lot of people, the stats were all good. This is why I was critical of Fallout 4. The sort of slot system sort of dumbed it down. And the fucking games are constantly getting dumbed down. And I don't think initially when they get dumbed down, it's necessarily bad, but it ain't good. Hell, that was sort of my Fallout with fucking World of Warcraft, okay? Mr. Pangea, or whatever the fuck it was called. They dumbed down the system, okay? But you know what? You have people making mods off of it now, and I really need to get back into that World of Warcraft Ascension crap. But, such a time sink World of Warcraft was. Same thing with Ascension, with all its wonderful options.
they did a good job understanding the lore of the game. I think they got a lot of that done well. The tricky part of Fallout, I thought, was always the humor. So I find sometimes that's what I'm a little critical about. But humor is very personal.
As you should, Tim. Humor is very subjective and doesn't translate well. And maybe your humor was a little bit too broad or a little bit too dark. I don't know. I'm not going to hate on him for his particular taste. Okay. So a monster mash of humor. You make it a little bit more broad. It's definitely going to appeal to a broader audience. Okay. You have to definitely, if you're going to aim to make something popular, not that you should always do that, okay, but you want to make the big bucks, that's how you got to roll. But at least he's see the things about Tim Kaine and a lot of these other people, they can be critical against Bethesda. Hell, they fucking should be. I'm critical against them. But besides the point, you can be critical and still fair to Bethesda. And I'm not seeing a lot of fairness done in the community circles that tend to circle jerk around this fucking topic here.
and very subjective. So I've tended to keep all my criticisms of that to myself because you honestly can't slight someone for not having the exact same sense
Not
of
going to
humor
appeal
that
to
you
everyone
have.
also.
So Bethesda took it and they own it in, both senses of the word. They own it, but they owned it. They made it something that Fallout 3 fits with Oblivion in their line of products, where I don't think Fallout 1 and 2 would have fit with their product line as well. I don't think I would have used as many of the same elements. I think it was a bit of a stretch to have the mutants out there. FEV was supposed to be the forced evolutionary virus was supposed to be localized just to Southern California.
Timestamp. And he also thought Bethesda did well. In other interviews, he said a very good job occluding with the lore. The humor may have not been for him, and he wasn't on board with the overall story direction and reusage of old elements, but he still thinks positively of what Bethesda has made. In another video of his, he even put Skyrim as one of his chosen 5. That I did not know. Interesting, given the problems with Skyrim. But you know what? That's Tim. I'm a different person, so that's quite interesting. Master classes, in his opinion. So he also thinks positively of the Bethesda format. This is a common viewpoint among former Interplay developers. Had people such as Kane simply thought the games Bethesda made weren't for him, he would have said that. These Fallout essays have been keeping up the exact same motif for years. When does the community get out of this?
Leon Boyarsky was obviously and publicly upset by Bethesda.
Oh, shit. Forgot I sped him up. So I'm going to go back to normal. Use computer AI so I couldn't sort of use one of my voices because I tend to get a little bit out there with some of the voices, as you'll find out, because I'm ending up with the Kurtosis voice. Da-da-da. Sorry, wasn't seeing my little thing. Okay, so slowing this back down. It's sort of interesting how Indigo Gaming doesn't even acknowledge a lot. He 2 comments and he goes on about this particular issue here. And I'm going to have more to say on that particular thing. But let's go.
Take on Fallout. Tim Kaine was disappointed at the time as well. You can imagine Chris Avallone's frustration of designing Fallout Van Buren for years only to have bad money management and awful business practices throw it all into the bin.
Yes, you could imagine Chris Avallone's frustration designing that particular thing. And he knew he's going to, I don't know if he's going to bring it up or if I included it, but he definitely did a paper version of Van Buren that sounded like damn good practice with Chris Avallone. Okay. No hate towards him. Okay. But it's just sort of funny how Indigo Gaming responds to this particular person in reality and doesn't even address this. And I understand the hate Bethesda is strong. You had Fallout 76, a clusterfuck, and they still fucking go into Starfield, and that's got a lot of negative press. It's both woke, Bethesda, and the whole Xbox changeover. The trifecta, I like to call it, of hate. Switching just to exclusive on Xbox, which, hell, it's Game Pass, so you can play it on PC at least. That's a benefit of that particular thing. So only Sony fanboys sort of get the hate boners for that. You got these former anti-Bethesda people, and you got the woke crowd in on it. Perfect trifecta to come down on Starfield. And they tried something new with it. And they definitely fucked up in many ways.
They changed their tune, since why would Tim start fights when he's being invited to the Fallout show premiere, and yes, not even making games anymore, playing nice with Bethesda, but all of these original creators were screwed over by the execs at Interplay, and the wad of cash Bethesda had to buy the IP.
Yeah, everyone just excused that Tim Kaine is fine with this, okay? Tim Kaine, the owner, the person who developed Fallout from the start, who's got frustrated with Interplay before they even changed hands, okay? And he's fine with the people at Bethesda now, okay? And it's not going to be in the screenshot. It's just he's sort of hand waving it away. He was talking positively about it right after the game came out. Yeah, he was invited, okay? They've always treated him very nicely, at least Tim Kaine. Don't know about the rest of them, but he's just sort of highlighting the creators. And there's something to be said about that, but I just don't like the dodge that Indigo Gaming's doing with some of these comments. I respect him for going in the comments and sort of conversing with people. Very good, really smart. Really makes him seem open to this particular thing. But there's just a few comments. I had a couple more, but I didn't want to go overboard with it.
They created furthermore the negative review of Fallout 3 posed by Vince D. Weller on No Mutants allowed he was so turned off by Bethesda's design philosophy that he started his own company and has released multiple classic style CRPGs like Age of Decadence, Colony Ship, and Dungeon Rats. The negative response to Bethesda Fallout has spawned a league of games trying to recapture the classic design style.
Classic design style. And you know what? More power to freaking Baldur's Gate 3 for sort of pushing that ahead and really winning the game award for it. I'll eventually get around to it. I'm a little bit slow with some of these games. Okay. I'll give my thoughts on it eventually, even if it's just in small ways. But release multiple classic style CRPGs when CRPGs like the freaking Tactics that was more like it. And I haven't heard any of these, but I'm not big into the old retro style. Age of Decadence, Colony Ship, Dungeon Rats. He hinges a lot of this off of Bethesda, which is getting more popular after the show and getting more people into it. Amazon shows getting more people interested in it. And also Baldur's Gate 3. It was originally in Interplay's hands, okay? Fair enough to use this to bolster his argument that the old design was the good design. There's a lot of good things about it.
Another casualty in the desperate scramble to take on the console market, Fallout Extreme was a short-lived project that aimed to be a 3D extension of the team-based tactics of Fallout Tactics, but played from third and first-person perspectives, with stealth gameplay, sniping, objectives like disarming bombs, switching between characters, and achieving objectives through tactical teamwork. It would have played something like Commandos meets Tom Clancy. Fallout Extreme was planned to launch on Xbox, and set to introduce new factions like the Issaquah Braves, Chinese Warlords, Werebeast Riding Huns, and the Imperial Guardsmen. It was canned before full production could start. Van Buren harnessed the...
Okay, I did not know about that particular project. I spent a lot of time researching a lot of this stuff and had learned something new, okay, about the legal situation, about the game's plan. This didn't even really come up. A stream is sort of so I'm like interested. Okay, why don't you try to make the argument of, this could have been something that would have put Interplay's version of fucking Fallout on the map. It could have saved it. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but he's trying to correct the record that it's Bethesda who saved it. Okay. Would have it fallen into obscurity if, he'll get to the sort of bid from Troika. Troika made a bid and Bethesda made a bid on the game. And he even admits in it that most likely the reason Titus, the people who own the company at this time, did this because they wanted money. Okay. They wanted to compete each other against each other. He even admits that. Okay. So again, I don't know where he's trying to sort of, a great example of the history of this, but he puts this sort of stuff. He does not do the sort of revisionism because you can't make that argument with fact space. You can only use emotional argument. You could have used hypotheticals, but he doesn't. He doesn't ever really go into what this hypothetically could have done for the IP under Interplay. They were sort of fucked, it sounds like, even from his thing, from Titus's management. The management was just fucked. Okay, the best bet he could have done, which he doesn't, is say that if Troika got it, they would have been able to make it they would have been able to make it as big as Bethesda, and I think that falls flat overall.
Engine custom built for the now canceled Baldur's Gate 3. It was going to follow the exploits of a prisoner who escapes his cell after an explosion sets the penitentiary free to roam the post-apocalyptic wasteland. There were refinements done to the special system, and a rich history and lore spanning decades of in-universe development. as well as striking new factions such as Caesar's Legion, famously recreated in Fallout New Vegas. There was the pagan female faction, the Daughters of Hecate, who enslaved the Vipers as their personal rovers to conquer the wastes. The Circle of
That sounds pretty damn woke, man. H-Bomber guy would have loved that shit. Okay, let me not get too hard on that. I don't think Indigo Gaming cares if it's woke or not, if it's good or not, okay?
Steel were a paranoid splinter group formed from former Brotherhood of Steel members. The Iron Rivers traveled a holy exodus on the path of a set of pre-war locomotive tracks. Josh Sawyer moved over to work on Van Buren after the Black Hound got canceled. And following popular trends, many features were force-fed to the Van Buren team, such as real-time combat and multiplayer functionality. But Sawyer, a CRPG and tabletop fan, focused on having an optional turn-based mode that still felt tactical and balanced. Interplay canceled Fallout Van Buren in late 2003 after releasing a playable demo internally. The misconception is that Van Buren was nearly finished, ready for release. This wasn't the case. The design documents were both written and tested in pen and paper form, but the game still had at least another year in the oven before launch. Fallout Brotherhood of Steel was Interplay's final attempt to convert a respected computer RPG into a simplified console.
Yeah, and that was a clusterfuck. I managed to play this little shitty-ass game. It was shitty, okay? Knockoff action RPG version of Baldur's Gate. And he'll go over him way better than me, but it's condensed timeline here.
Counterpart. Using their previous success with Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance as a template, and the same engine, the one they'd be sued over for using without permission, Fallout's console gaming debut was a thick-headed, hornier, metal music-infused romp that had some fun and notable features, like being able to pick from predefined characters of many backgrounds, including a playable ghoul character. Yet too much was lost in the translation to real-time combat, and the story traded philosophy and world-building with F-bombs and electric guitar solos. Fallout has always been a dark.
Yeah, that sounds about right. What I hear from almost everyone, besides being just a damn crappy game overall. It's trying to make a sort of connection between certain things, though, I think.
Dark and violent franchise, but it wasn't until Brotherhood of Steel came along that you could describe it as edgy. In early 2004, Brotherhood of Steel didn't exactly set the world on fire. The Kahn brothers then ordered a slap-together sequel for a holiday release in the same year. Things moved so fast that the team got to work before realizing Brotherhood of Steel didn't sell many copies, so in the end, they canned that sequel as well. Bethesda offered an undisclosed sum, then Hervé Kahn approached Troika Games, the studio founded by 3 of Fallout's original creators, asking if they wanted to bid on the game. Troika, after a 4-year development of Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines and a rocky launch, wasn't in the financial position to compete with a company riding off the success of the Elder Scrolls.
And I find it interesting how he sort of does this apologia for this. Okay, they weren't in a position. Okay, fair enough. Maybe they got screwed. Okay, they got screwed out of this. But this is the place I would have actually put my argument, hypothetical argument, for why this could have been the turning point. But he doesn't. He uses New Vegas. I am pretty sure. Yeah, I remember this very well. He hinges a lot of this off at New Vegas, and it's still not quite up to snuff to say that in the hands of these people at Troika, that they could have made it successful. And yeah, Bloodlines, Masquerade. Yeah, that didn't set the world on fire either. I think there was a lot of mixed reviews with that. A lot of good RPG stuff. Game-wise, not sure that's great. Missed that one.
Bethesda paid $1.175 million as a minimum advance payment against future royalties, meaning if the game sold well enough, they would owe more money to Interplay. And if Bethesda took the option to make Fallout 4 and/or Fallout 5, they would have to pay a similar fee for each game. Bethesda again put the squeeze on Interplay when they started selling Fallout 1, 2, and Tactics as the Fallout trilogy, implying customers were getting Fallout 3, which they had no right to sell.
Just to be clear, that is pretty much Bethesda wanted to sort of put the big squeeze. And I agree. Seems a little bit weird for them to do it, the Fallout trilogy. I mean, they could be just trying to make up the success lost from, going for the money grab. It sounds like that's what these two brothers who owned the rights to Fallout at the time. And it definitely seems like they tried to squeeze every dollar they could out of the Fallout franchise, okay? And whatever apologia for Bethesda's legal team definitely sounds like they were playing hardball with people trying to get even more money out of them.
Fallout 3 launched in late 2008 after a heavy marketing campaign full of creative and expensive live-action videos, trailers, and Vault Boy animations. But they weren't marketing to the CRPG crowd. They were going after Halo, Call of Duty, and Elder Scrolls players. They sold Fallout to the masses, not hard.
See, I don't know what he means by that, how he supports that particular perspective. He doesn't really back that up with anything. Okay, maybe that's why he brought up the fact that Fallout Stream would have played like these games. Okay, I was working at GameStop at this fucking time, and I do not remember this. I remember this being the fucking physics engine of Fallout, sort of the options to do it. They definitely did market it to RPG players, but more RPG players of the Bethesda line of things. I really don't know how he gets this reading, because I don't remember any of this, and he really doesn't really support this particular thing. It just sounds like, yeah, they weren't actually targeting RPG players. No, not CRPG players. Okay, simple as that. Even the original Fallout. Oh, fucking hell. I don't know why he's bringing this up when I think it's not even fucking true. Okay, they did a broad scale marketing tactic, and yeah, I think I'm done with this. I'm just confused of how he's making this or why he's making this. Probably coming back to, oh yeah, Bethesda doesn't care about you darn CRPG players. Yeah, maybe not. Okay, what does that have to do with the success?
Hardcore fans.
Ooh, fantastic video, man. I vaguely knew of some of this stuff. Didn't realize how bad things got behind the scenes for Interplay. Glad someone is also countering the myth that Bethesda saved Fallout. No. But Cree, he doesn't counter that myth, okay? When in his particular video does he counter it? Because I can't find the place. You can't just say, oh, I'm countering this with this video. Talk about this. His focus is, so many people is focused on Bethesda on this. Okay, yeah. Bethesda look like shit when you frame this fucking video like this and give such softballs to the creatives and not putting any real emphasis of how shitty the people who took over Interplay really acted. Hell, he brought up they fucking used the engine they didn't have rights to for Fallout Brotherhood. Okay, these people, they seem much worse than Bethesda, but I wouldn't know. Okay, I wouldn't know the thought process behind it. No, they killed it and are puppeting its corpse for money.
Thanks very much, Cree. I knew some of this already, but I lost it when researching some of the lawsuits. Stealing an engine without even reaching out to the developer? Selling rights to a game you already sold? Signing a contract without reading the details, such as not knowing you weren't really getting a license to the game? They feel like failed skill checks in Fallout. Someone took the low end.
Yeah, and his response, oh, thank you, Cree, for your fucking insane fucking Bethesda hate being rage boned over here. Let me heart it, okay? I'm totally being unbalanced. Totally fair. Okay? I want to come off as fair and balanced, but let me suck up to someone who has a stream hate boner for fucking Fallout and willing to fucking pretty much give anyone who defends it shit. Well, at least until his stag is gone now. Thank God for that. Okay, that was some of the shittiest content EFAP makeup ever, and just brain dead content.
Run to heart, I guess.
It was a sincere attempt to recreate the magic of the original Fallout games, repackaged to appeal to the masses. Fallout series had a ton of work put into translating the foundation set by previous games into their own engine and gameplay style. But a lot of old school Fallout fans rejected Fallout 3, including the original.
And this is what he's going to hinge the old school fans. Okay, this is a slight to old school fans, and I think this is fucking absurd. They were fine with old school fans. Okay, hell, Fallout 3 fucking corrected one of the biggest criticisms with fucking Fallout 3. Okay, the sort of land, the food problem. Okay, which I thought was very fitting for Fallout 3. it was built enough. But things like that, opinions are very subjective overall.
Fallout forums, such as No Mutants Allowed, it didn't live up to the tone and design philosophy that attracted people to the setting in the first place. So it's no surprise that when several ex-Black Isle Studios veterans were given the chance to prove themselves, they made something truly special in Fallout New Vegas, under extraordinary.
And now we have the crux, probably about the only thing he can hinge his sort of argument that Fallout, and he doesn't even make it, that Bethesda didn't save it, that maybe this game saved it more. Hell, I'm even someone who prefers New Vegas over Fallout 3. And they do have different core designs. But there is also problems with it. It sort of lacks the sort of emotional adhesion that Fallout 3 does. Say what you want about it, lack of creativity about Fallout 3. They hit everything on the nail to sort of pull, to sort of refer. Maybe call it member berries if you want. Call it lazy, fine. But definitely was something trying to pay respect to the old fans. Or at least it seemed that way.
Early limited circumstances. The general audience may prefer the graphic fidelity, crafting, and gunplay of Fallout 4, but few really care for the story or setting, especially when contrasted with the brutal and evocative factions fighting for the Mojave. Games.
Yeah, he does not prove that, okay? He does nothing to really prove that in this fucking video. This just seems like a giant virtue signal to fucking the old school fans of Interplay. Just virtue signaling here and there. You know, they didn't respect the fucking creators. Fair enough. Fair enough. He's going to get into this. But he does nothing to prove that New Vegas was superior to Fallout 3 or even Fallout 4. Despite him saying whatever he wants about Fallout 4, the story wasn't half bad. It had really bad design choices, at least in my personal opinion. Okay. At least when you get to the core of it, you can get down to some nitty gritty, insane little cases like a Billy in the fridge stuff, which, yeah, hurts the head to think about logically, but most people don't think about that sort of shit.
Omitted from the credits of derivative works. And why is that? Movies and TV shows credit their sources, acknowledge the original creators, and even put the book authors into the opening credits. What's so different about interactive experiences? It probably boils down to Hollywood and television having more lawyers, agents, and established standards for recognizing.
No. Yeah. This is the second time he brought this shit up. The fact that they touted it with Todd Howard, but that's just because of the meme magic of Todd Howard. Tim Kaine? Who the fuck knows Tim Kaine? I think the dude's cool, and I respect him for this particular thing. This comes down to like an autistic trip that, they didn't acknowledge in the promotional material of the Fallout TV show, meant to push it. Someone no one ever heard of, to the glorious, love him, hate him. Todd Howard is a big name. Okay. Simple as that. Okay. And promotional material, he's trying to make it like, they purposely cut out all these particular people from this Fallout show. No, this is for marketing. I'm pretty sure special thanks. It would be nice to actually check. Special thanks to fucking Tim Kaine, okay? You have to bow and scrape Chris Avalon. You have to thank everyone for the derivative works. It's just for marketing. I just see this as a market ploy.
Creators and the franchises they're attached to. No, Todd Howard didn't create Fallout, nor did he create the Elder Scrolls. He led projects that iterated on others' ideas, writing and art direction, and turned them into profitable, mainstream games. That's a respectable job, but it's not the only one that matters.
Yeah, that sort of counters your idea of not saved. Right there. Right there. You counter the sort of narrative that Todd Howard makes these things popular. Okay. Does it say anything about the quality of the products he puts out? He attaches his name to? No. Okay. Two separate things. And he makes no counter. And he said he's going to counter this. No. Yes, it was sold. There's a lot of shady business practices on both sides. I think his video establishes that very well. He softballs and pushes a lot of the fucking emotional arguments to, they're not respecting Tim Kaine. You and your fans don't respect Tim Kaine. I have this fucking comment, which I'll highlight real quick. Before
I hope you
move
found
on.
this little excursion through the dirty business of Fallout's game development enjoyable, or at least an intriguing train wreck.
Yeah, here's his whole credits here. Okay. It's quite interesting. I highlight this in particular because it actually, you go into some of these. I didn't go into a lot, but I did go into a particular one.
It was impossible to get anything approved through Bethesda. It became very clear to me that Bethesda had no intention of ever allowing Interplay to actually create an MMO.
Yes. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Maybe they thought these fucking Titus people were going to fuck it up. Maybe they wanted to make a push for. Okay. Yeah, he did get fucked over, but you also got fucked over by fucking the people you were working for. This is from the same interview that I just told. In what sense do you see eye to eye? Okay, I highlighted this. Bethesda successfully rebooted the Fallout franchise. Just wanted to highlight this. This is where he also talks about, this is coming from the person he just quoted, selective cherry pick information to make certain things. And this was found in his sources, okay? And this sort of thing sort of counters the not saved narrative he's trying to hinge to the sold. Again, yeah, it was sold. And there was a lot of dirty dealing done both ways. Who's worse? You're making Bethesda seem a lot worse, but of course you are. Because that is your narrative. That's your bias. And I'm not saying Indigo Gaming is a bad freaking YouTuber. Just a very biased one when it comes to this particular matter. Very autistically feels offended that people don't know who Tim Kaine is, who talks about Fallout. Stop fucking worrying about stupid people. If they want to say Tim Kaine, if they want to say, they want to say Todd Howard created Elder Scrolls and all that, just laugh them off. Why are you always going with low-hanging fruit? What they say about it, the loudest voices. Yeah, I'm sure they annoy him and anyone who really champions the fact that no one really respects the older school thing. Just because your butt hurt about this shit, it just seems a little weird to sort of stealthily try to nudge it with really emotional arguments instead of logical arguments, logically consistent. Okay. I can acknowledge Bethesda, the PR moves that they made seem completely insane. Okay. But when you look at that, who had control of Interplay and the IP for Fallout at this time, did you want it in their hands? No, he wanted it in Troika, the original creator's hands. And who fucked that up for him? The people, I'm guessing the brothers of Titus, okay?
And we ate it up. While Bethesda would have developed Apocalypse Road, whether or not they acquired the license to Fallout, as their track record has shown, their first new IP in over 25 years, led by the same staff who made Fallout 3, was less than stellar.
Yeah. He has to go with a mostly negative on Steam when it was also being sold on fucking Xbox. Gotta love these people. It's the trifecta. I'm not even going to say it's a great game. I think it's good, okay? When you get outside some of the stupid marketing bullshit that they pulled, okay? Yeah, you definitely criticize them for fucking having all those planets that are empty. Fucking same thing. The sort of ship it out and fix it later mentality is a little bit stupid in my opinion. How there's a whole video talking about the sort of early access bullshit that comes along and sort of fucks people over is quite interesting. AAA developers like Bethesda, like Microsoft, has a certain standard, and they're not willing to put it on early access when they think it's not quite up to snuff. They'll just fix it again later. Or in Bethesda's cases, have the modders, and definitely criticize fucking Bethesda for their fucking modding scene. They pulled some sus ass shit with them to such a point. I just like, I don't fucking know. Let's just not fucking the mod stuff. Like the paying modders, people were going down that they were going to pay modders, and people were making a big deal. I think that's a good thing. Pay modders who are fucking fixing your games. I never understood.
Meanwhile, with cash from Bethesda's purchase of the Fallout IP, a somewhat revitalized Interplay lured back some of Fallout's original team to work on Fallout Online. This includes
Yeah, and they fucking got conned. There was same bad management. Do you really think they would have done any what better? This management sounds completely shit, trying to squeeze out whatever they could. And you were having them take out a fucking monumental thing that would have been plagued with even more problems than fucking all the other things. Just would have been a bigger waste of time, in my opinion, but that's an opinion, okay? Doesn't really save the sort of not saved argument he's trying to hinge to, the more emotional argument about creators getting fucked over. They get fucked up over music. I cut out a whole fucking comment talking about comic book artists getting fucked over, like Stan Lee fucking over so many people in his industry. No one wants to hear it, okay? It just seems like a whataboutism. I'm not going to defend any of that practice where the creators get screwed out, but that is the reality, okay? Okay, maybe they shouldn't be screwed out of all this shit. And maybe going forward with fucking crowdfunding, it's going to be more successful. What I find a little disengaging, instead of promoting this shit, bringing up projects that they think they're just riding the sort of trains, the trends. They can't push this stuff. They would rather go on to this sort of narrative here. I just don't know. It seems like a waste of energy if you want to get these creators up and running, their projects, their support. Give them a little bit more credit instead of just saying, yeah, they're paid shills now, if they disagree with me. Okay, with Tim Kaine, it seems.
included lead designer Chris Taylor, creator of the special system, Jason Anderson, lead technical artist on the original game, and Marco Green as lead.
Yeah, look at all these people got fucked over by both Interplay or Titus, these two brothers, and Bethesda, okay? They are bad men's. Long bad men's.
Writer, who wrote much of Fallout 1 and 2's dialogue and created the game's beloved talking heads. Jason Anderson worked on the game internally for 2 years, but became increasingly frustrated by Bethesda stonewalling him whenever he submitted design documents for approval, as per the contractual obligation.
Okay, fair enough, okay. And Titus was probably doing the shady ass shit underneath their sort of line of logic here. Okay. Back in the day, when I was still going through my trio of 3 critics of Fallout 3, where I did fucking H-Bomber guy, not that great, but I comically bounced off of him and did a little bit other there, a little bit shorter, concise, to the point. There was also Acer Thorn, who had a video on my
Cooking for
Defender
one
list. Because
doesn't
I was
make
going to go
sense.
back to it.
If you want to eat
Acer
better without
Thorn.
wasting hours
Oh,
cleaning and prepping or
That's
buying fast
low-hanging
food,
fruit when you want to go with Defenders, okay? You get this fucking shitty-ass person defending your game, and that's going to hurt you even more. So I'm surprised this shit is even up still. So since I never did the sort of Defenders thing, because you can't find too many who go too hard with this shit. Few minutes, okay, of how
For the time
friends
being,
decide.
however, let's assume that you actually care about the main quest and you want to find your son. There's still a huge problem once you emerge from the vault. You have zero idea where to start looking. Sean could be literally anywhere. So how does Bethesda keep you from just wandering around aimlessly like a complete dumbass, hoping that you will eventually stumble upon a needle in a haystack? Bethesda's answer? Screw organic storytelling. Let's just give the player an omniscient quest marker telling him to return to his old home
Wow.
in Sanctuary Hills. This is the first major problem I have with the game's pacing and storytelling, and much to my surprise, it's one that I honestly don't hear a lot of people complaining about. Finding Sean
Interesting stuff. Don't want to focus too hard on that, but this is quite an interesting look. This is one of the Defenders. The one video I picked from him on my original Defender list that I thought was really fucking insane is, of course, private it or delete it. But that makes perfect and utter sense. But there's also this
Evolving into a
particular
bigger
thing.
way instead of
Might
just
as well milk out for some rub-a-dubs for a little bit more closure on this stream.
creating a gun.
Because I'd like to look at low-level people, and a British potato is quite stupid overall with the sort of points that he brings up. He brings up a really horrible point here that is just factually incorrect. Okay. Well, maybe not factually incorrect, but stupid to really lay out there. Might as well end the stream off on this particular
Built some
tangent here.
pretty amazing things with the settlement workshop in Fallout 4.
Oh, I mean, yeah, people can make amazing things out of fucking cow shit. Have you seen the buildings we've made out of that? Doesn't mean it's good. I mean, it's literally not. It's been proven that cow shit probably isn't the best to build a house out of when it rains. And also, it's going to really smell. But again, people have made statues out of dog shit. Should we give them a reward? Like, oh, wow, dude, you did so good. You made something out of dog shit. And it's like, still shit.
You can even add defenses to your base, like adding turrets, traps, or even settlers on certain choke points in your base in a guard tower and just prevent enemies from going into your base in the first place.
I like how you say that, but you don't mention the part that when you set up defenses, nothing attacks your base, which is super bizarre. You build a base for no one to go to and attack it. So, like, why even build it in?
That's a fucking lie. Okay, there's plenty of fucking things you got to worry about. Encampments, bases where putting up your defenses. Sometimes, if you don't want to defend a base, they'll report to you. This guy doesn't have the best. He's just pulling shit out of his ass. I guess people finding his insults is why he got so big, but he's a bit of a bitch also. Well, I'm including him in here.
The first place to never have interactions with your base building. What a very bizarre choice to make in a game that they want you to make a base and add defenses to it. But once you add defenses to it, no one comes to attack you. 10 out of 10 right there.
And this randomly occurs. But you can even go to the modding menu and just spawn a bunch of enemies right near your base and even test your defenses out.
The fuck is this? Plants vs. Zombies? What the fuck? I'm sorry. You're telling me that Fallout 4 didn't fail because I could build defenses and then go into the console commands and spawn an enemy and watch my turrets kill an enemy? Is that really why?
I mean, seriously, this is like low-hanging fruit, and I'm banned from this channel. Shadow bad. You're not in a strong camp if you're in an echo chamber, but do go on. Oh, this is just to mock the video. I wonder what you said in the comments to make him delete it. Because supposedly, if I remember this
Oh my god,
correctly,
it's almost like the games weren't focused on having workbenches. Remember earlier when you said this entire video was just your opinion? I like how you just brought up an objective statement saying that Fallout New Vegas and 3 don't have these workbenches.
let's see
like
if
the
he
game
had this.
retarded.
And just have a bunch of fun and just sit back and relax just watching everything. Point being is that Fallout 4 has all these workbenches and they're really fun to mess around with. And Fallout 3 New Vegas don't even have these in the first place.
Is that like a personal attack or something? Or...
Oh my god, it's almost like the games weren't focused on having workbenches. Remember earlier when you said this entire video was just your opinion? I like how you just brought up an objective statement saying that Fallout New Vegas and 3 don't have these workbench, which is true. But then let's just completely disregard the reason why they weren't in the game in the first place. It's because they weren't about building things. It was about meeting people and changing the world around you. That's what it was about. And just being yourself in a fucking RPG. Not much of
Apologia, and he's wrong. New Vegas did have workbenches, bitch. They just really didn't have the same function and feel as this. It's just funny stuff.
Fallout 3, because that game is extremely limited, but we're not getting into that. We're talking about Fallout 4 here.
But that's not even the best part. The best part is that remember that useless junk you would find in Fallout 3 New Vegas that was not even useful at all on doing anything hardly?
Yeah. It's almost like it was called junk for a reason. Fucking crazy, right?
Well, that's a different story. Now all of your building projects, your gun projects, and even your armor projects revolve around the junk that you randomly find in Fallout 4.
You know, I'm going to be honest with you. I never found this part of the game that great because let me get something straight. So if I want a new scope on my fucking gun, I have to go hunting around a wasteland that's been around for 200 years and scavenge it for fucking fans and toys and screwdrivers. Why? Why would I want to do that? That sounds incredibly miserable. There's no substance to this game. Why am I going around collecting garbage to upgrade a gun for? What is it for? What am I doing with this gun? Killing more enemies? Oh boy, it's not like I've been doing that throughout the whole...
hand waving him. He's just responding to any points in any way he can. Let's just say it isn't good. They have no personality or history, and Kate has a side quest. So this video is both annoying and factually wrong. I'm not here to defend Fallout 4, just to make fun of how bad this gaming commentary video is. Keep it up, and you might reach the highest of Griffin Gaming. Curious if this comment will be deleted? No, just shadow ban.
Your gun, but hey, whatever. I could see that Bethesda's mentality is just not where the franchise used to be at all, which is great. I love it. That's why I play Fallout, so I could just make the most overpowered gun and shoot mutant number 148. You know, remember back in like Fallout 2 in New Vegas when they made mutants and ghouls, not just like random enemies you have to kill, and they actually had a little bit of character behind them, and even the ones that were hostile, they even had a reason why they were hostile to begin with. Same with some of the raiders in New Vegas. They weren't just raider number 4. They actually had a reason why they were raiders, like the fiends and shit.
Who am I? I'm the scariest motherfucker you ever gonna meet. I'm Cook.
Yeah, in this fucking response video, he has to steel man all these fucking things and not respond. That's the only thing he fucking has. And it's just funny. Cognitive dissonance. But this is probably low-hanging fruit. Like, if fucking Acerthorn kept it up some of his horrible videos trying to defend Fallout 4. Only thing I really want to highlight within that.
I'll give him that, all right.
And then we go to New Vegas and everyone's just like, yeah, you just shoot them. No big deal. Okay, that's great. Why not have talking death claws anymore, like Fallout 2, and have a unique plot point with those talking death claws that develop into a more serious plot point in the actual development of that game? Why do any of that? Fuck it. Just make them an enemy so everyone could shoot them. Put a death claw in the first 10 minutes of the game. You know, make it feel like a Call of Duty.
Like, he really has to straw man it to have any legitimate point. You're a fanboy for the old stuff. This guy's a fanboy for the Bethesda stuff. As simple as that. Why so fucking butthurt about this shit in reality? Oh, sorry. Never went over this particular video. I might as well slick it in this because a British potato came back to the internet. And he's still as crap as he has been.
That's what Fallout's about.
And this is a very nice and welcoming addition because I'm glad that they did this in the first place instead of it being useless. And now for my number 4 reason why Fallout 4 didn't fail is because of the companion quests.
Oh no. Companion quests. Okay. If you don't know, in Fallout 4, there's only 2 companions that have quests out of, I don't even know how many companions are in Fallout 4, but only 2 of them have quests. And those 2 people that have a quest, it's integrated into the main story of Fallout 4. It's not just a random side quest. So keep that in.
See, he's just fucking talking out of his ass now. Talking about nothing he knows about.
Mind.
The companion quests in Fallout 4 were so good that they were to an extent to Fallout New Vegas' level.
No, they are not. New Vegas, every single companion had their own backstories and quests, developing them more into people. In Fallout 2, only 2 companions have a quest, and they're integrated into the main
I gotta love the Fallout 4 is not 2. Da, da, da.
story, no matter what you fucking do. So you won't have a moment where you'll meet, man, I always forget his name. Give me a second. I forgot his name. The guy that's part of the Enclave. Arcade Gannon, which is a really cool name, and I can't believe I forgot it. Arcade Gannon. He's just a minor character that you could actually pass up in this entire fucking game. And he's part of the Enclave. Because of that, you can actually convince him to get the Enclave back together for the final fight on Hoover Dam and work with the NCR, which is unbelievable. Or you don't need to. He's not even that important of a character. You probably didn't even know this character existed. And the Enclave was in New Vegas. And a very, very...
And really, really fucking hell. Why the fuck are you going on about things that aren't even in his video? You're trying to stand for this game so much. This is a response video, keep in mind.
It's not because it's part of the main quest, so...
Of companion quests. It made you care about the characters sometimes when they talked about certain dialogue and certain quests that you would do with them if you had a high enough affinity with them.
Okay, so I want to quote what he just said right now. We're going to dissect this sentence for a moment. So he said, they made you care about characters when they said dialogue. Well, gee, I fucking hope they tried to add dialogue to make you care about characters. I mean, gee, like, No fucking shit. The problem is that they're horribly written characters. Tell me, right now, people that actually enjoy Fallout 4, tell me one specific trait about Piper's character that's not about her being a reporter and being a bit sassy. Tell me one character trait about her besides those two fucking things that are stereotypical. What's your character arc? What does she do besides being a sassy reporter and being a full-blown bitch? You don't know. She has no fucking character or past or history.
She does. It's been a while since I played. She's trying to report on this particular thing, and she's going in being all gutsy like and having issues with the mayor. And there's plenty of issues with that. Okay. And I haven't even played this game for years. Okay. It just almost feels like gaslighted. Fucking being like, do you remember this? I'm sure pretty much if people played it, they would know a little bit more if they went into his storyline. Why the fuck are you going off on this? You just have to reduce everyone. Piper has a little sister. Okay. She's got into it. She gives the backstory. I don't know much beyond that, but
Tree or nothing. She's a nothing character. But of course, he's going to bring up Paladin Dance and Nick Valentine. Nick Valentine's the only decent companion in Fallout 4. So
you can go with Paladin Dance with the Brotherhood of Steel route, and he has a pretty interesting story as a whole, same as Nick Valentine.
Gee, how am I not shocked that he mentioned the two fucking companions that have a side quest in the entire fucking game?
Or you can just go with the love affair with either Piper or Kate and just get into an...
Yeah, both Piper and Kate have a backstory if you get into it. I remember Kate's a little bit better because you need to take her to get detox. She wants to clean up her life after you find her in the fucking fighting in the pits and get her slave contract.
Argument on which one is better on Reddit or something.
Oh, yeah, let's talk about how hot they are, but their actual personality just throw it out the window, which is none, and they don't even have a side quest. This whole section is about companion side quests, but you just brought up two companions that don't even have a side quest. Fucking 10 out of 10 job right here.
Bam, bam, bam! He doesn't know what he's talking about. Why my comment exist and why I'm shadow banned, okay, on his fucking channel. Because this dude cannot take criticism. He had a whole fucking video coping about rags, but yeah. This guy came back recently. It's a whole bunch of stupid stuff. He's not going to make it up. Hell, he's not even making money because he was fucking butthurt about his fucking little, 4 weeks ago, blah, blah, blah. Really mad about... Did he take it down? He ran the fucking Griffin channel, recording Griffin Gaming channel, and a whole bunch of other shit out there. Let's see what people, if he returns, bully another kid. Yeah, I'm just picking on the dude. Of course, he's going to say it's bad. Crap. Okay. I've covered that. It seems rather stupid. It's not perfect, the Fallout show, but it's got a lot of eyes on Fallout. A lot of people playing 3, 4, even New Vegas. And some people are going to find the old shit. Who really cares at the end of the day? Yep. Roofs on Fallout reminds me of Dying Light 2. Yeah. Fair enough. Fair enough. All this is crap all around, and not sure how this is going to end up in the end of the day. Just wanted to highlight some things out there because this video came out, and anyone who says that there's revisionism and Todd Howard did not freaking save Fallout from falling into obscurity, I would like to hear a better argument. Okay, not one so emotionally loaded with the sort of Bethesda sucks. All gaming studios suck. Bethesda sucks. Yes. Okay. What studio has not sucked? Hell, they're better than Ubisoft. They're better than Blizzard. It's not hard to do. Maybe they're going to take a kick to the balls and do something really outrageous and really insane. But I don't think comparing them, hell, there's a whole section trying to compare the video game industry and try to pull Bethesda along. They're like everything else. They start sucking. The longer they go on, the bigger they are. And who the fuck knows about Elder Scroll or the next Fallout, how that's going to go. Maybe they're going to have something. Oh, yeah. Indigo Gaming also thinks the TV show sucks and thinks second season is going to be complete mess. And maybe he's right. Okay. I think Fallout TV show is going to be fine for the second season, it's the third season, I predict that it's going to be really stupid. Okay. I think they can hit it. Everyone's saying about retcons and other bullshit about the show. I don't agree. Okay. You can add new things. It's done past the timeline. You can have new things without retconning. And there's a whole bunch of stupid stuff out there. Okay. Peace out. Good night. That's all I wanted to cover. And it was probably more than I should have. Peace out. Bye again.